Dun, 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 dun. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Bum, 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 bum. What's up, party people in the house?
What up, though?
Welcome to Texas Live, one of the sexiest voices in the SFL,
Mr. Master.
Dave Axis. What's up, party people of the SFL? Long time no see. It's been a whole week. Glad to see all of you here. I see a whole bunch of people in the chat. Good to see you. Welcome to Season 16, Episode 17. Episode 17 was supposed to be on Thursday, but now it's tonight. You know what? That's how life goes. Things happen. We got a great show. We got a great panel. Gunny's here, of course. We have Week 9 recaps we're going to go through. We've also got our Week 8 Diva of the Week winner, along with our Week 9 Diva of the Week nominees. And I will have a very special After Dark at the end of it. So we got a lot to pack into a quick amount of time. So let's do what we always do and check out the party people. Let me see here. Hopefully everybody can hear me fine. I'm hoping you guys can hear the music. You can hear me. Let's see who's in the house. EJ Minson is here. Ray, Nate Hall, Tyler Falk, Dave Axis. Look at that. I'm silver level in my own show. I'm bomb. David Leathers, best first name in the SFL. Art Vandelay, Bob Funk, Nate Hall, Chad, Will Todd, Bo Martin Jr., Mike All, Joey Schwint. I do want to say my lovely wife, Pink Lisa, is in the house. Don't think she'll be on the show very long tonight. She is feeling under the weather. She started feeling sick last night. She's been down and out pretty much all day today. So, baby, I hope you're feeling better, especially since we got a trip to see the Halls this weekend. Let's see. Charleston Predators, Allen's here. Good to see you, bro. Freddie's in the house. The long arm of the law has joined us. Bullet Boletsky's here. Wink is here. What's up, Wink? How you been, bro? How's the house going? Joey Schwint, Frank the Franchise, Wade. I don't know if I said Bob Funk already, but I will. Josh Farnsy's in the house. Gunny, I said Eddie. What up, Doe? Dave Terry, my buddy from Texas. What's up? Kevin Say's in the house. Charles is popping in. Leon Thunderman is back. Corey Mizzou's here again. Whistle's back. Good to see you, Whistle. VinCal609. I'm not sure who you are. Maybe I've seen you in the chat before, maybe not. Let us know who you are. Welcome to the show. Who stole Dave's cap? Dude, it was too hot here today. The house is a little warm. I can't wear a hat when it's too hot. I'm too diva for that. You know that. What else we got here? And iDioxide is here as well. Another new name. Good to see you. And then the Cuban Missile jumps in just as I'm starting to wrap things up. Greg Soto, what's up, buddy? Good to see you as well. All right, here's the thing. I would love to sit here for the next 30 seconds and tell you about what an amazing Week 9 we had, but I would be lying. I wasn't able to see any games due to some personal stuff, which I will talk about in After Dark, which I mentioned to you guys in the chat. So I will defer to the experts, which they are all the time anyway. But I do want to say, before we get to them, how about that March Madness? How about that Pac-12? And how about them UCLA Bruins, baby? That's what I'm saying. Go Bruins. All right, let's see. Let's introduce our panel. Let's see who the party panel is tonight. The party panel starting in the unscripted circle. Who do we got here? The one and only, no introduction needed. He's a staple of this show. Frank the Franchise Wade is here. Frank, what's going on? How you feeling, bro?
I'm feeling great, man. This is no place like home and unscripted here. I'm always in this circle.
You're always, it's like you and Tyler are always bookends for some reason. It just works out that way, right?
The Alpha and the Omega.
There you go. We'll see. I'll ask Tyler if he's the Omega when I get over there. In the unfiltered circle, somewhere between the Alpha and the Omega, but definitely with the glorious Lone Star Glory, Bo Martin Jr. is back in the house. Bo Martin Jr., how you doing, bro?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? I am doing well. It is another glorious Tuesday evening, and I'm happy to be here, Dave.
Every day is glorious when you live in Denton. Just saying. I mean, I don't live in Denton, but you get the metaphor. All right. I see lots of March Madness stuff in here. Pac-12, Q's. Yeah, I'm a big Syracuse fan too, Art Vandelay. And good to see you, Art. Max Jackson's here. I missed you, buddy. Good to see you. Mighty RX popping in. Is this Hollywood Squares? It's Hollywood Circles, bro. You know what's up. All right. In the unedited circle, The all you need to know about this guy is that his name is Mike, and he's the GM of the Jacksonville Kings. What's up, Mike?
Hey Dave, you are looking live at the office in the new house. It's a little bit rainy out here today, but it's still all good no matter what. I do feel a little awkward though, being one of the editors on the content team and yet being in the unedited circle. But
That
here
is
I
a
am.
little awkward, isn't it?
Yeah,
And you were joining Bo Martin Jr. somewhere between the Alpha and the Omega, and I don't know how that works. You're like an Alpha and Omega sandwich, but different.
yeah, baby.
There you yeah, baby. All right, and then of course, last but not least, Greg Soto. Greg Soto's asking, does Frank have a good internet connection this week? Frank, what do you think? No, he's like shaking his head. He's like, nah, brah. Same thing. Same. Hilarious. All right. Big Greg 74035 is here from Eau Claire, Wisconsin. Hey, I got friends from there, buddy. I don't know who you are, but I've got lots of friends from that town. All right. In the unforgettable circle, fresh off doing his own show, Netma, that did a special edition of his show on Tuesday night, since he will either be out of town or has family coming in this week. The number one draft pick and the host of Netma, Tyler Falk. Tyler, what's going on? Are you out of breath? Are you ready to do another couple hours?
Here we go again, Dave. And in contrast to Frank's comment about me being the Omega, if I was the Omega, I'd probably shut up about making 2-10 predictions or putting Houston at 14th in my power rankings.
Well, I got to tell you, I saw Cam's graphic he put up in one of the chats today. Some 2-10 realty or something. I was like, dude, that's perfect for you. You should go be a realtor, bro, when you get out of the military.
There we go.
There you go.
And tell everyone, hey, you should refinance at $210,000.
Oh, hey yo. All right. Let me see. Anybody else pop in? Looks like we got everybody, I think. All right. And Gunny's saying go Loyola Ramblers. Yeah, Loyola again doing their thing. Oh, and Doug Britton. So check this out. Doug Britton is in the house. He just jumped in. For those of you who don't know, I'm one of the owners in the SSF, and my boy, I don't know, let me see if I can show this to you. Doug Britton made me can you see it? A Knox City, what is this, Arctic cup. I don't know if you can see the logo. I'm probably going the wrong way. I got my number, the scruffies, my name, the position, and everything. Doug Britton, you the man. That was very nice of you to send that to me. I appreciate it. All right, let's get back to SFL business. Frank, we're going to kick things off with you. First game this weekend was DC at London. Actually, I'm sorry, Frank, before we get to, I need to touch on this real quick. The playoff, usually I debut the playoffs on the show, but Cam put them in the general chat the other night, so everybody already has them. So we don't need to break them down in After Dark. Everybody's seen them. Everybody has them. Not a big deal. I just wanted to mention them real quick. These numbers on the far right-hand side, those will be the numbers that you'll see on Thursday's graphics in a couple of days from now when we do our Week 10 previews. Where'd I go? Dude, I'm like all over the place. It's like I haven't done this show in like a week or something. Here we go. And then this was the slate that we just came off. Saturday, 6 games on Saturday, 6 games on Sunday. As you see, things kicked off with DC and London, ended with Sioux Falls and Louisiana. Most of you know that, but it looks like we've got a few new people in the chat tonight, so I wanted to make sure they understand. We are we just finished Week 9 of a 12-week season. Then we go into the playoffs. We will be heading into Week 10 this week. All right. Now, Frank, that being said, DC at London. I don't have a lot of questions for you since I didn't get to see the games this weekend, except to say that this game was pretty close. I think we expected to be close, but were we surprised that London won?
Not surprised that London won. I mean, DC was coming into London trying to get their second win. They must have had jet lag or something because they didn't find the end zone until the fourth quarter. Trailing 19-0, they tried to make the game interesting. Kevin Say scored on a long 46-yard touchdown run with 8.5 minutes left in the game. He ended up with 113 yards on 19 carries. Robert Merrill had almost twice as many carries and put up 118 yards on the ground. Angus McLean, 23-31 for 276 yards, 1 touchdown. Was having his way with the DC defense that has only managed 19 interceptions on this season. But Eric Gunger made him pay on a bad decision and pulled the Dragons within 5 with just over 6 minutes to play. And then it became a ball game. They looked what looked to be a time-killing drive for London ended up with a rare Merrill fumble. DC had their chance, but London defense made their stand, got the ball back. Merrill was able to get a first down and run the timeout. Synergy only had 111 yards on 21 attempts. Had one final drive to put DC ahead, but looked off on some of his throws. Could not get the Dragons down the field. London's defense was led by Marcus Reed with 7 tackles. He had 1 pass defense, 1 interception. Clinton Hendershot led all defenders with 10 tackles. This guy was laying people out left and right. Vin Kalia led all receivers with 122 yards and a touchdown for London. In a game that was out of hand with over 8 minutes to go, DC was given a couple of gifts and it made it an exciting game. DC's on the verge of doing some good things here, but it's just too little, too late.
So again, I didn't see the games, but as I'm looking over the stats, the rushing yards were close. Angus definitely had the better passing stats. But, bro, these third down percentage conversions, London 75% to DC's only 37%. But what was weird about that is DC's like 4th or 5th in the league in third down conversions. They've been doing it all season. Why couldn't they do it against London?
Like I said, Synergy looked off. His throws weren't crisp. They weren't tight passes. They kind of lobbed in, especially there towards the end when they had a chance, when the game was in their reach, is when he really looked the worst in my opinion.
Best thing I saw in this whole on these stats as I was watching as I was looking at the stats for this game, Frank. We've been pretty tough on Robert Merrill on this show, me especially, and especially the last couple weeks. Robert Merrill, 33 carries for 118 yards. Now listen, it's only 3.6 yards per carry, but he got 118 yards. So
118 yards, yeah, and then 3.6, you're close to 4. That's what you want your running back to be at, right around 4.
So he's getting there.
He was getting there, yeah.
He didn't see the end zone, but and again, 33 carries is a lot to get 118 yards. But I'm glad to see the progress. Congrats to Robert Merrill for putting in a ball game this week. Jack's data had this over under at 38.5 points. They scored 33. That was pretty close. London was favored by 3.5, so that was also pretty close. And SFL Nation, we kicked the weekend off 1-0. We took London 113 to only 51 to go 1-0 on Saturday, heading into Game 2, Bo, which I thought could be one of the games of the week. Again, I didn't see the game. Was this game close, and did Denver pull away near the end, or did they have a comfortable lead most of the time?
No, I don't. I think the score might lead it to believe it was close. This game was never actually in question. Denver led pretty much from jump. Let me rephrase. Denver took control of the game in the second quarter. It was close throughout the first quarter. I believe it was 10-7 at the first quarter, but second quarter came and Denver just took over the game and they never looked back. And so one of the things that stuck out for me, the biggest thing that stuck out for me is Atlanta's staple, the staple of their team. If you ask me, the meat and potatoes of their team, and I'm talking about BDG Hollywood.
Right.
BDG Hollywood, 15 carries for 43 yards. That is a 2.9 yard per carry. His long was 9 yards. And so I was looking at why Atlanta couldn't seem to get things going. And what stuck out to me was it seemed like Atlanta tried to do some things that wasn't necessarily in their wheelhouse. Bryant Dynasty threw 37 times. He had 416 yards passing. That's not typical Bryant Dynasty things. Usually Atlanta leans a lot more on BDG Hollywood, but for some odd reason, I don't know if they tried to switch it up to throw off Denver or what, but for some odd reason it didn't work. And Atlanta never was really able to get things going. Denver dominated, 444 total yards. And Jared McChesney doing all kind of Jared McChesney things. He had 21 carries for 120 yards and a touchdown, 5.7 yards a carry. And pretty much Denver, all Josh Miller had to do was be Josh Miller. Josh Miller's he's usually, I don't want to say never, usually not anything like crazy large numbers, but respectable 310 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. And here's the solid part: 0 turnovers, 0 interceptions. He did get sacked twice, but he didn't turn over the ball. And that's huge for Denver. And that's the reason why they're 8-1, is because Josh Miller hasn't been making those big mistakes, and they've been very consistent about what they do. And then on the defensive side of the ball, Denver was able to get 3 interceptions. Matt Papineau had an interception. Josh Vasquez and Maurice Lloyd both had an interception as well. And so they were able to constantly keep pressure on Bryant Dynasty, and they made him make mistakes. And I think that's what inevitably, took Atlanta out of the game early, and Denver just never let the foot up off the gas.
Just on the previous show on Netma that we just watched, Nate Hall made a comment of Bryant Dynasty maybe having a sophomore slump, which I would say the way he's been up and down, I would probably agree with that. But any other quarterback that throws for over 400 yards and at least throws even touchdown and passes is usually a pretty good game in this league, except when you go up against a guy throwing 300 yards, throwing 3 touchdowns and no picks. But more importantly, let me ask you, and we only got a few seconds, Bo. We've talked about BDG all season, up and down, up and down, up and down. It seems like when they use him, they win. When they don't use him, they lose. Am I wrong?
What's strange is you realize that, and I realize that, but for some reason, Atlanta has not yet realized that. When BDG wins, Atlanta wins, and it's really that simple. So, and I know they don't want to be too predictable with BDG, but they've got to find a way to get him involved. They didn't even get him involved in the passing game. 2 receptions for 0 yards. So when BDG wins, they win, and they need to find a way to get him the ball.
Too many times that we've had this conversation where BDG has not been involved enough. I agree with you. Jack's data had this over under a 54.5 at 64. It's almost within that 10-point variance we talk about. Denver was favored by 6.5, so they covered that. And look at us, SFL Nation, 2-0 out the gate, 108 to 60. We took Atlanta to go 2-0 heading into Game 3. Mike All, my favorite game of the week, and I will say, I didn't watch any games full through. I did pop into my own game, of course, several times, as well as the Carolina game to see if I was going to make it through the survivor pool that we'll talk about later. But I got to be honest with you, the first time I peeked in, we were down, I think 2-0. We gave up a safety right at the beginning. And then every time I peeked in from that time forward, it was all Lone Star. Did we really dominate the game the way it looked to me as I was doing my peek-ins?
Well, I feel like you popped in on the wrong game because there was no safety in this game, Dave. But let me tell you about
I thought we were down 2-0 at the beginning.
No. So the game started off slow with a pair of punts before Lone Star put things together. Drove skillfully downfield to score on a Fennick to McBride touchdown pass. On MXC's next drive, Matt Wilson threw an errant pass that Gunny made an amazing diving interception play on. And came away with the interception, setting up Lone Star to drive it down with a mix of Ike and Ace until they got to the goal line, which they used a really nice misdirection play, making it look like they're going to Ike, but they punched it in with Cam Collier instead. At that point, you guys were up 14-0. Mexico City looked like they had finally put things together. And they drove methodically downfield, getting into the red zone before Gunny once again made a great play on the ball and picked off Matt Wilson in the end zone to completely kill Mexico City's momentum. LSG couldn't do much with it, however, and so they had to punt it away. And we saw a few punts back and forth before Mexico City, with a minute left, drove it down to put themselves in a position to hit a 31-yard field goal before the half. Going into the locker rooms at halftime, it looked like it was going to be all LSG. And coming out of the locker rooms, Mexico City started with the ball and drove it down to a goal-and-goal situation before LSG stopped them from punching it in and only gave up another field goal. Mexico City's next drive ended with another interception, this time by Freddie Trammell, which set up LSG to start out on Mexico City's 17-yard line. And with such great starting field position, they easily managed to punch it in with a nice touchdown run by Ike. LSG then held Mexico City to a punt, and then Ace Fennick managed to throw a pick on their next drive, setting up Mexico City to get into position to put another 3 on the board. After a few punts back and forth, Mexico City finally got their drive together, drove it down to score a touchdown on a pass from Matt Wilson to KL Barrett. However, LSG managed to block the extra point, completely killing all the joy Mexico City had from scoring that touchdown.
We're the Joy Killers, baby. That's our nickname.
Yeah, and it felt like they had scored with enough time to maybe do something with it, but I think that blocked extra point just kind of took all the joy and the hope out of Mexico City. They tried an onside kick, but LSG recovered it and then put the nail in the coffin with the touchdown pass to the diva himself, Dave Axis.
Wait, what?
Yeah, you got a touchdown. It was
Yeah,
a
I know.
nice one too.
I actually got to see it on the post game highlights.
Yeah. With the game at 28-15, it was basically all she wrote. It was a really good game. Like I said last week, Ike. It looked like it was her coming out party last week, where she managed to rack up 97 yards, and this week she managed to break the 100-yard mark, and scored herself player of the game. The one thing I do need to mention is Matt Wilson, the legend, did crack the 40,000-yard mark for his career. So good on him. That's a big milestone. But yeah, it was pretty much all LSG.
Well, that's good to hear. I haven't had a chance to go back and watch the whole thing yet, but it looks like we had a great game, and it looks like Lone Star is trending in the right direction the last couple weeks at the right time, with a tough game coming up in Baltimore this week. Jack's data 54.5 over under 43 points scored in this game, so just outside that 10 points. Mexico City was favored by 7. They obviously did not cover. And look at SFL Nation, no faith in Lone Star, taking Mexico City 99-66 and taking their first loss to go 2-1, Tyler, as we head into the fourth game on Saturday. The team that Lone Star plays next week, 21-6, and another Survivor team I had this week, since we had to pick 2 teams. Maybe this was a game I peeked in on. I don't even remember at this point. But Baltimore 21-6. It looks like a pretty clear-cut win for Baltimore. Anything close? Anything exciting? Anything I missed that I need to write home about?
All I'm going to say is, Dave, the champs are back. My goodness, they picked off AJ Caswell 6 times. Especially if you're trying to be the Queen City Corsairs and trying to make a late playoff push. All those hopes just got dashed this week. Just a tremendous game by the defense. You got 2 picks. 2 picks from 2 picks from Troy Loshaw, 3 picks from Austin Brigham. I think they all came in the first quarter. My goodness. And then Frank Smith, the linebacker, also picked it off, and he ran it back a couple yards. But just in general, my goodness, these vultures are circling again here, Dave. I'd hate to be a team going up against them.
I mean, almost 300 passing yards also by Jack Wigmore. But what's going on with the running game in Baltimore? This is a couple of weeks now. I don't know if they're in a row, maybe 2 of the last 3 weeks, where their rushing game has been down a little bit. T-Roy, what's going on with him? Is T-Roy just getting old? I said that specifically just so you'd hear me, but or what's going on with that?
Oh no, I think it's more so that in their game planning, that transitioning from last year to this year, he was a much more effective back last season. But this season, he's had to adjust. He's, trying to use a different archetype with his running styles, trying to, mix up his game plan, keep defenses on their toes. Right now, it just hasn't been working well for him, and he's, trying to keep, grinding. He's trying to get back to his craft, trying to change things up and get things going. But right now, with how Wigmore's been throwing around the football, it hasn't hurt them too much.
Right.
That's a good thing for the defending champs.
Yeah, I agree. Real quick, a couple things in the chat. Greg Soto, don't be a hater, bro. And second, EJ Minson says this was the game that had the safety. So I must have checked in on Baltimore on my Survivor pick as well. Baltimore at Lone Star, real quick, Tyler, next week. First, well, let me actually, before I ask you that, that's the second thing I want you to answer. First thing is, what is Queen City going to do? They score 6 points. They throw 6 interceptions. AJ was just terrible. Let me see Jet Zero's rushing real quick. Well, 113 yards, but he didn't see the end zone. He did on 20. So he's averaging 4. That's not terrible. Jet Zero had a decent game, but I mean, where does Queen City need to do, and how do you feel about Baltimore playing Lone Star next week?
Queen City for me is one of those teams that at this point they need to start, reevaluating everything. I think this season is a lost cause for them. Maybe they need to start looking into the off season. I know it's, week 10, 3 weeks, anything can happen. But right now, with Queen City, they just need to reevaluate either their game planning, because right now they just haven't been really effective in the end zone. Caswell has made some really poor decisions in the red zone itself, which has led to those interceptions with it's just really been untimely turnovers that have really destroyed this once great franchise. This is really the most prolific franchise in terms of championships. And right now it's just been really, really tough for them to do anything in this new era of the SFL.
Real quick, Mighty RX says their coaching staff has been busy with real life this season, hasn't been able to do properly game plan. And I mean, we get it. We get it. It happens to everybody. And yes, our Vandalay, we do age apparently, except for the long arm of the law, who is forever 21. Let me say these stats real quick, and then Tyler, I just want a quick 10-second thing from you about the Lone Star Baltimore game. Jack State at 47.5 over/under. They didn't come close with 27 points. Baltimore was only favored 7.5. They definitely covered. I'm surprised they were only favored 7.5. 136-28. SFL Nation takes Baltimore to prove to 3-1 on Saturday. Look at us, SFL Nation, crushing it. Tyler, as I'm finding the next slide, Lone Star and Baltimore this weekend. What do you think? Real quick.
Oh, it's going to be tough. Lone Star's coming into Baltimore. It's going to be a real tough game. Fennec's going to have to Ace Fennec's going to have to, play the game of his life in Baltimore if Lone Star wants to, they did their job last week. They got the win this past week. Now, if they want to catch up to Houston and Mexico City at the top of the table of the, Tex-Mex division, they're going to have to win out. They're going to have to play, mistake-free football, for the rest of the season. That includes playing against the ever dangerous champions from the previous season. 6 turnovers. They can do that to anyone. It's up to Ace Fennec to make sure he limits his turnovers.
Gotcha. Well, Mike All has the whole Tex-Mex division tonight, so we'll get to him for that other game with only one game separating 4 teams and all 4 teams in the top 10 seeds of the playoffs. Frank, let's move on to Arizona, though. Dude, Arizona and Vegas, 2 teams that started off differently at the beginning of the season and are now headed opposite directions near the end of the season. What's going on with both these teams, and how'd this game break down?
Well, talk about 2 halves. This was a tale of one quarter. Arizona was in bad shape. DJ Moses was knocked out of the game on a play when he didn't even touch the ball. Ended up pulling his hamstring. After 3 carries for 29 yards by Moses and a quick exit, the pressure fell on Ashley Jackson to deliver, and Moses backup finished, I think, with 3 yards on the ground, something like that. He had a couple of good runs, but he had a lot of tackles for losses too. Now Ashley is good at the short underneath routes, the outs, the slants, and the dump offs to Moses. But when it's called for her to try to get those 50-50 balls down the field, there's a problem there. A minute and a half to go. In the game, and Jackson had already thrown 2 interceptions. She finished with 4 interceptions, putting her tied for 21st overall with 26. She did throw 2 touchdowns and had 318 yards. Las Vegas quarterback Colin Pierce was slightly better with 315 yards on 28 completions, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He was sacked a whopping 7 times. He's tied for 24th in interceptions with 27. The only thing that Pierce had that Jackson didn't was a running game. Scott Johnson had 94 yards on 24 attempts. Pierce started to settle down a little bit, started moving the offense. If it wasn't for Dustin McCrack keeping the Scorpions pinned down inside their own 5, I think it was 3, maybe 4 times, pinned them inside their own 5. And that's where they kept turning the ball over, giving Las Vegas a short field, and they take advantage of it. Arizona's defense was able to get a couple of stops. Finally, Jackson hits Donnie Hands for a 39-yard touchdown strike. Suddenly, Arizona is back in the game after all that they've been through in the first 3 quarters and the loss of Moses and everything. Now they're starting to gain some momentum. Another stop leads to a Larry Barr field goal. The defense stands tall again. On 4th and 1, AJ gets the ball to Donnie Hands for a 76-yard touchdown. Go-ahead touchdown with a minute and a half to go. And next thing you know, Las Vegas is trailing, where they've basically been dominating the whole game. There were drop passes on the last drive, batted down passes, sacks, and an almost interception. But on 4th and 17, Colin Pierce hits Mason Kirby for a first down. Again, he was sacked 7 times, and I believe he was even hit on this play. And gets the ball to Kirby for a first down with 20 seconds to go. They stop the clock with 3, and then Boudreaux hits the walk-off field goal.
So, obviously we know why Arizona only had 32 yards rushing. Both teams terrible at third down percentage for this game. But Vegas, one of the hottest teams in the SFL right now, I think that's 3 games in a row they've won, with a rookie quarterback throwing, lights out, especially in this game. With Arizona, though, real quick, we only got a few seconds. If DJ Moses doesn't get hurt, does Arizona win this game?
I believe so. I believe they're able to control the clock and move the ball down a little bit to keep their Las Vegas offense off the field.
Gotcha. Well, Jack's Data had this Arizona Vegas game over under a 48.5 with 48 points scored. I mean, they nailed it. Arizona was favored by 6.5. Did not cover. Again, part of that reason might be DJ Moses. And SFL Nation, we take our second loss to move to 3-2. We took Arizona 110-55, moving into the nightcap game on Saturday. Bo Martin Jr. The Kings and the Lycans. This definitely had game of the week potential, but as I look it over, this was not the game of the week, bro.
Looking at this on the schedule, you would think, all right, this is must see TV here. This is the one that we got to watch. If there's a game that's going to be a great game with two playoff destined teams, this is the one. And Los Angeles pretty much laid an egg on this one. It was pretty much domination from beginning to end for Jacksonville. First off, shout out to Jacksonville. Jacksonville is now the all-time winningest team in the SFL history.
Wow.
Passing up passing up the and I can't even Sioux Falls. Thank you. Passing up Sioux Falls for the all-time winningest team. They now have 103 wins to Sioux Falls 102. So shout out to everybody from Jacksonville. Congratulations on that. But it was pretty much Jacksonville dominating from beginning to end. It was kind of over as soon as it started. LA never led. At the start of the fourth quarter, the score was 20-10. So the game was never really in question. And here's why. 353 yards passing from Christian Christensen. Wonderful game. 44 passes completed off of 50 attempts. 295 yards rather, with two touchdowns and one interception. His offensive line did a favor. They kept him really clean. 0 sacks, which is important. Jared Willis, he had an okay day. They didn't really need him too much. 15 rushes for 57 yards. And but on the flip side, I want to focus on LA for a minute, because Sully Richardson had perhaps his worst game of the season. And, of course, usually as quarterbacks go, that's where the team goes. Sully Richardson, he did have 306 total yards. But he also threw 4 interceptions and 0 touchdowns. He never found the end zone the entire game. He went 25 for 46, and he got sacked 3 times. So this tied for the most interceptions that Sully has thrown all season. And also, too, what I noted about this game is this was also the most pass attempts that Sully Richardson has attempted this entire game. And so I was wondering why Robert Johnson was a little bit more involved. He only had 15 attempts for 51 yards, which was his second lowest rushing total and his tied for his lowest in carries. So the game was never really in question. And Jared Willis did his thing. And then on the defensive side of the ball for LA, gosh, there really wasn't much to speak of. Rochelle Colston, she's always doing her thing, 11 total tackles, and she did have an interception. But then other than that, you've got Ryan Joseph and one thing I did want to note, Buddy Blaze, all-star performance, 19 total tackles for Buddy Blaze. So if there is a bright side for LA, Buddy Blaze was on fire, no pun intended. Well, pun intended.
Pun intended.
So Buddy Blaze was on fire, but it was pretty much just an overall domination by Jacksonville.
Hey, real quick, I know we're out of time on this one, but is it just me, or does it seem the way that Vancouver and LA are both playing, neither one of them wants to take that division?
Well, they are fighting to give away the division, and I guess it's going to come down to who wants it least. I would say who wants it more, but it's going to come down to who wants it least.
It seems like it. It seems like it. It really does.
I remember at the beginning of the season, everybody was trying to decide which one, or if both of them were going to come out of that division. I think it's safe to say that both of them will not be coming out of that division.
Yeah.
And so now it's just gonna be LA or Vancouver who's gonna come out of that division.
Well, we'll see, and I think they play each other one more time if I'm not mistaken. So, Jacksonville at LA, Jack's Data 51.5 on the over/under, only 36 scored in this game. LA favored by 2.5. Really,
Wow.
really laid an egg, Bo. And this was the closest. Who you got? Only 2 votes difference, 80 to 78 in favor of LA. So we take our third loss to end up 3-3 on Saturday, SFL Nation. Moving into Sunday in a moment. Gunny, are you around? You ready to share your pearls of wisdom with us?
I'm here.
Good to see you. And look at me. I've got your music queued up, bro. What's up with that? That doesn't happen very often. And look at Ray
Well,
Ray.
that's good because next week will be my anniversary since signing on the dotted line for Uncle Sam.
Amazing. Well, we got to make sure you put that in the Pearls of Wisdom next week. Ray Ray, already on top of things, has the Marine hymn lyrics in the show chat. So you are ready to rock and roll, Gunny, whenever you're ready.
Good evening, SFL. Good luck. Best wishes to everyone that won over this past weekend. Divisions as they stand now, with the best division record, 23-13, is the Atlantic, with Florida leading the way at a 7-2 record. In second place is the South Division, 22-14, with Fort Worth leading the division. The other divisions, the East is 17-19, the North 14-22, the Pacific 12-24, and the West is 20-16. This past weekend, week number 9, saw Atlanta go 4-0. The East went 1-3. The North went 2-2. They played each other. Pacific went 0-4. South went 2-2. They each played each other, and the West went 3-1. In my South Division, all 4 of us are ranked 4th, 6th, 9th, and 10th in the latest playoff scenarios. Strength of schedule for the last 3 games in the South Division: Fort Worth, 15-12, Houston, 11-16, Lone Star, 15-12, and Mexico City, 17-10. So Mexico City will have the strongest competition in their last 3 games. Houston will have the easiest schedule in their last 3 games. And with that, Dave, welcome back. That is all.
Thank you, bro. Appreciate it. It's always good to be back when you take a show or more off. So I appreciate you, Gunny. Thank you for everything you do for the show and for the SFL. Let's kick off Sunday's games right now. Moving on to Mike All. He had the first game in the South Tex-Mex division between Mexico City and LSG. He now has Houston and Fort Worth. And everything that I saw in chat, everything I've heard from people, and everything I seem to see in the stats says this was a pretty bad butt whooping, Mike. Am I wrong, or did it go down the way people are saying?
So I came into this game thinking, boy, I'm going to watch a barn burner here. Houston seemed to be firing on all cylinders the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And Fort Worth, the number 1 defense in the league, and they seem to be playing pretty well this season. I thought it was going to be a barn burner. And, well, something got burned. E.T. King did his best LeBron James impression from the Miami Heat, throwing not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 7 interceptions this game.
Wow.
And it was not anything to write home about. It was definitely an ugly game. And the rest of his stats didn't even look that bad. If it wasn't for those 7 interceptions, we might have been looking at a different game.
Right.
But Cam Curtis did a passable job for Fort Worth. He still threw 2 of his own. But it was really Fort Worth's defense just shutting down Houston almost the whole game. There were some really nice plays. And shout out to Chris Komisak. Got his first touchdown of his career that game with a nice little punch in from the goal line for a touchdown. We saw scores from Robert Garrett Jr., and several others. It was a really nice game. We even saw Stephen Hacker break the 6,000 yard mark for his career, which was pretty impressive too. But yeah, it was just Fort Worth's defense was just too much. There was one point where I thought they had finally got it together in the second quarter, where E.T. King hit D.R. Sim for an amazing touchdown. But they just couldn't get it done. It was all Fort Worth all day long.
I mean, you look at the stats, right? I mean, Finnemore, 5 receptions for 94 yards. DR Sim, like you said, 112 yards and a touchdown. I think you're right. I mean, the interceptions was literally the only difference. The third down percentage is pretty much the same. The rushing yards down, though, for Houston, that's one of the things I wanted to ask you about. Was it just this Fort Worth defense just, taking care of Warren Murray, kind of pressing their will on the Houston running game? Is that how it went down?
Well, it may be some of that, but they only gave Warren 9 carries. They just didn't feed him the ball enough. They hit him roughly the same amount of times in the passing game.
Wow!
But it was all on E.T. King. He had 48 attempts. They just tried to. I don't know if they thought that Fort Worth would be looking run all day long, so they wanted to pass, and Fort Worth tricked them and were watching for the pass, but they just did not run the ball enough. And as Warren Murray goes, so does Houston, and he didn't go, and neither did Houston.
7 interceptions. I mean, Aiden Davis had 2 of them. Ben Stone had 1. Adam Leach had 1. Nacho had 1. Delaney Nash had 1. E.K. Vincent. Well, like every single DB on that team had an interception, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, Adam Leach not only had 1 interception, but he made the best of that interception. Took it all the way to house for a pick 6, earning himself player of the game honors.
Unbelievable. Well, Jack's data had this Houston-Fort Worth game over under at 48.5. Only 34 points scored in this game. This game was actually a pick'em. So yeah, you tuned in, Mike, to see maybe a barn burner and see a close game, and even Jack's data thought it was going to be a pick'em, and we got none of that, unfortunately. Also, SFL Nation though took Fort Worth 116-47 to start off Sunday, the same way they started off Saturday, with a win, moving in to the second game on Sunday. Tyler, Tulsa at St. Louis, and much like the Arizona-Vegas game, these are 2 teams going in opposite directions. I don't know that anybody saw St. Louis losing 4 in a row after winning their first 5 this season. What happened in this game this weekend?
So, Dave, when you're taking a look at the game, you look at the first half, just the first half. Christian Brown was, all right. He's completing his passes, mistake-free. They were able to march down the field, get 13 points in the first half, and Tulsa was making a game of it. It's 13-10, to close out the half. And then it's all about those second half adjustments, right? Tulsa goes down, they'll pick up a score, but I think St. Louis lost the game in the third quarter. Christian Brown threw 3 interceptions in as many drives in the third quarter. Wow. That's what lost them the football game. And maybe the last, possession they had, they threw a pick in the end zone, just to seal out the football game. So it just was not going to play into that second half. Tulsa made the right second half adjustments and took St. Louis to task. And my goodness, St. Louis is in free fall mode. This is not good for them. They might be like the Carolina Panthers from a few seasons ago, right, going 5-0 to start a season and then lose out the rest of their season. That's how bad it's gotten.
Well, and they have a brutal last few games, but let's flip this coin for a minute and talk about Tulsa. Couple things. Number one, Tulsa has not gotten much love on any shows this season, except for maybe from you. I do remember you earlier in the season giving Tulsa some love, and you thought they were going to do better. Then they kind of didn't come out the gate very well, and that was another, Tyler 2-10, yada, yada, yada. So all the crap you've taken with the LA thing and the Atlanta thing or whatever, you might have been onto something with Tulsa. Tell me about this Tulsa team, how they played on this weekend, but more importantly, how do you see them finishing out these last 3 games, and are they going to make the playoffs?
Well, at the beginning of the season, Dave, I only had him at a 4-8 record. I thought, maybe JQ. I knew it was going to be a little bit of learning experience when JQ coming into the major league, though he was the most developed quarterback coming out of the SFLM this season, but definitely has really improved, and everybody over in Tulsa has really gotten on the bandwagon, is starting to really make some plays. Just to mention, we talked a lot about JQ, Jason France, Viva La France, the tight ends made a couple of nice catches. He's got a touchdown. And Gabriel Manning, my goodness, this is why he's a potential Hall of Famer in a few seasons. Gabriel Manning is a stud. Just a phenomenal. Just you see him time and time again, especially this past week, making diving catches deep down the seam. Just phenomenal guy. I mean, Eagle Mondavi can fly, but this man can soar.
Hey, a couple things in the chat real quick. Law, for the last game, I think you said 7 interceptions to 7 different people. It was actually 7 interceptions to 6 different people because one of them had 2. But the other thing I wanted to say was, let me see, Crazy H 2000. Dwayne says it was a closer game than people were giving us credit. But there was somebody else in here that said something about Tulsa. Oh, right there, Tulsa 52. Tulsa has won 4 out of 5 now, Tyler. And maybe I was mistaken. It might have been somebody else that was giving Tulsa some love at the beginning of the season. But I got to tell you, at 5-4, along with I think it's like 9 teams that are 5-4 or something like that, Tulsa definitely deserves the love now.
Yeah, definitely. No, I think it was me giving them a little bit of love here. I said they'd probably be one of the teams that, if they got the pieces right, they'd probably have a little bit of a run. And I think this is better than I thought they were going to do. I think this is better than I think a lot of people thought they were going to do. And full credit to the Tulsa Desperados. Definitely the one of the teams not to be underestimated anymore. But just keep it going. I'm very happy to see Tulsa, at 5-4. And if they keep going, who knows? A playoff berth is something they've been looking for a while now. It's something that they deserve.
So DR Sim pops in the chat. DR Sim pops in the chat, says, if I had 30 animations like Gabriel Manning, I'd be a stud as well. Hey, we just talked about you having a good game just before this, DR Sim, but that was actually pretty funny. And people giving him crap. Who says you're not a stud now? Oh, Chad saying, don't sell yourself short, bro. There you go. Here's the thing. I do think that both these teams are going in the wrong directions. Dwayne did say, they're losing to quality teams, and they are losing to quality teams. The problem is this year, there's a lot of quality teams in the SFL. Every week is hard. I mean, and you've got these these triangles, and almost with every 3 teams you could pick. This team beat this team, and then this team beat this team, but this team beat this team, and it's going all over the map. It's going over through every division, so it's all over the place. DR Sim, I caught the last part of the last game. I just logged on. Yeah, we gave you a little bit of love, DR Sim, but not much. That was a tough game for you guys. But Tyler, Jack's data had this Tulsa St. Louis game over under at 45.5. They only scored 36. St. Louis was actually favored by 3 in this game, so they did not cover. And SFL Nation, we go 1-1 on Sunday. We took St. Louis 111 to only 56. Tulsa not getting any love in the Who You Got. But they're starting to get a little bit of love on this show. What do you know? Moving on to the third game, Frank. Another game that game of the week potential. Again, I want to preface and say I did not get to see the games this weekend. This game does not look like it was very close and that it was a huge disappointment. Was it a huge disappointment?
Yeah, it was. I mean, in the first half, this was a slugfest in the first half. It was priming itself to be a really good game. Tom Pepper's been having a pretty good season, averaging only 2 interceptions a game. The problem is in this game, he reverted back to season 15. He threw 5 interceptions, 2 to Andrew Francis. Those are the first 2 of his of the season. Pepper finished with 24 completions for 250 yards. He did throw 1 touchdown. Ron Cochran channeled his inner championship form from going 35 out of 41 for 313 yards and 4 touchdowns. He did have 1 interception. Bullet Boletsky and J.W. Doyle combined for 22 carries on 82 yards. Boletsky had 1 rushing touchdown. Robert Redford is not called the natural for nothing. 19 carries for 207 yards and 2 touchdowns. He also had 8 receptions for 36 yards. He had a touchdown run. He had touchdown runs of 52 and 51, just showing us that you can't fall asleep because he will break one at one point. The receiving core of Brett Killian, Andy Hamilton, and Kendra Hall all shined, with Hall leading the pack, 5 catches, 87 yards. Killian did have the lone touchdown for the group. Kevin Brackett, Josh Farnsey, and Mark Lopez combined for 29 tackles, with Brackett having 12 of those. Boletsky and J.W. Doyle led the Storm in receiving with 7 and 9 catches respectively, and each had a touchdown. Stephen Bush and fellow tight end Veranda and Zarkov each had a touchdown as well. Ryan Davison, Evan Carroll, Adam Jones each hauled in an interception to go along with Francis's 2 picks that he had. Florida scored first, never lost the lead. Vancouver scored but missed their extra point, 7-6 at one point. This game was close at half with Florida leading 21-13. Every time Florida would score, Vancouver was just stingy enough to answer back, not letting Florida pull away. What hurt Vancouver here is they let Florida score. I say let. Florida had a good drive and scored right before the half. And then at the beginning of the second half, took the opening drive of that half and kicked a field goal, increased their lead to 11. And that's just something Vancouver could not recover from. On the next possession, the Legion had to punt. Florida drove down the field. And once again, for Andy Hamilton, R62 had a say in a close play. It was ruled a catch out of bounds. It would have been 3rd and 10. It was overturned to not only a catch, but a catch for a touchdown. That made it 31-13. Robert Redford wasn't done, hitting his 3rd long run of the night and his 2nd TD. This closed the gap, but Florida answered with a long 7-play, 71-yard drive with no trouble. Bush capped it off with a 7-yard TD. With less than 5 minutes to go, Pepper threw 3 of his 5 interceptions to allow Florida a timeout.
So a few notes on this game from me and a couple things in the chat. I'll start with the chat. Bullet Beletsky saying Ron Cochran has been playing at a Pro Bowl level this season. I would agree with that. On the flip side, I would say that I think was it a couple games here recently we've seen Peppers kind of struggling, even though he is probably still the leader for MVP. He's had a few struggling games as of late. And then Doyle said in here, no one wants to talk about the receiving backs in Florida, only the rushing stats. So let's just touch on those real quick. You take the Charlie Beletsky and Doyle. If you combine all of their yards, so they received for almost 100 yards, 16 receptions for, 96 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then they rushed the ball 22 times for, 82 yards and a touchdown. So pretty balanced attack, Frank, from the Florida backfield in both the passing and the running. But was the difference truly the 3 interceptions down the stretch? Did Vancouver have a chance, if not for those?
They had a chance. It was difficult with Pepper being what he was doing. The 3 interceptions in the last 5 minutes, that was the killer.
Okay. Well, Jack's data, in all their wisdom, had this at 52.5 over under, and they scored 58 in this, so that was really close. They had Florida favored by 1, which I'm pretty sure they covered that bad boy. And then who you got? SFL Nation 112-52. We took Florida to go 2-1 now on Sunday, heading into the 4th game, Bo Martin Jr. on Sunday, which was, I believe it's a San Diego game. It is San Diego Charleston. Listen, everybody loves Optimus. We talked about the last couple of weeks about him finally getting his player in the starting lineup and what have you. I haven't looked at the stats yet on him, and I'm about to right now. But 41-9, I don't know if Optimus is enough. I don't know what's enough for the San Diego team right now. And 2 of their last 3 games are tough. Maybe they pull out a win against Portland in the very last game of the season, but could they actually go 0-12? And then tell us about this game.
All right, so before I get into that, I want to correct something I said earlier. I said Sioux Falls versus Jacksonville in the win category. It was Queen City. Queen City is now 2nd place in all-time wins behind Jacksonville.
Gotcha.
103-102. So now, on to San Diego. Deep breath. Oh, San Diego. Oh, you poor things, you. Yes, Dave. I would not have said this at the beginning of the year. I know we said that it's not possible that no team's going to go 0-12. It's now possible. It's possible. And that pains me to say because I'm the ultimate optimist, right? Optimist. Oh, look at that.
I was just about to say that. The ultimate optimist.
I am he's the ultimate optimus, but I'm the ultimate optimist. But in this particular, I don't see a team that San Diego's going to be able to beat. Charleston just flat out took it to. They just took it to San Diego. They made TD Drew, the lefty, look like an all-star. So just a couple of numbers, a couple of numbers from TD Drew. 29 for 43. 43 was his highest passing attempts of the season.
Okay.
Also his highest of the season. 4 touchdowns. TD Drew had 4 touchdowns. That is his highest touchdown total of the season. Okay. And I'll be honest, I had such high hopes for San Diego. They were so competitive last week against Denver. Denver was 8-1, and they took them to overtime and took them right to the brink. So I was hoping maybe San Diego was turning a corner. Well, San Diego made a U-turn, and now they're going back the other way. So, TD Drew had a great game nonetheless, but Javier Vasquez, again, for some odd reason, Javier Vasquez is 35 for 51. Why is their quarterback throwing the ball 51 times? 267 yards on that 35 pass completions. He was sacked 4 times. He was intercepted 3 times, and he found the end zone 0 times. San Diego did not score a touchdown. They were only able to manage 3 field goals. It was not even close. The score was 24-6 by the time the fourth quarter started, and they were putting their backups in about halfway through the fourth quarter. San Diego has yet to get Jalen Wells going on any consistent basis. He was 19 rushes for 25 yards and 5 catches for 7 yards. So he was pretty much a non-factor in the game. We're not going to talk about non-factors because Keith Swearingen had 1 rush. Somebody tell me,
is that for real, or was there something wrong with the stats?
I thought it was a typo. If somebody can put in the chat, did he get injured? If somebody can let me know.
Well,
I saw that.
But even then, I don't see. I mean, nobody had a single rush. No fullback had a rush. Nothing. They one rush the entire game.
But you know what? I mean, the score was 41-9. I mean, I guess they didn't need. Although you would think you would rush the ball when you're up by that score. But I guess Charleston was trying to make a statement, and a statement they did, because now here Charleston sits, and they sit at 5-4, and they're right in the middle of the playoff mix. So Charleston wanted to make a statement, even if it was against San Diego. Now we got to recognize that Charleston wants to make a statement. So San Diego, find a game to win. That's all. I don't really know.
Well, I saw their schedule, and to be honest with you, again, no disrespect to Portland, but playing at Portland in Week 12 might be their only chance.
No, I don't see that.
Jack's data had this game over under 31.5, which they, Charleston by themselves more than covered that with 50 points scored in the game. Charleston was only favored by 7.5, and I'm going to go.
Did they cover?
I'm pretty sure they covered. And look at us, SFL Nation. I can't believe it. We took Charleston 135-31 to go 3-1 on Sunday, going into the next to last game. Mike All. This game, Portland, the team we just mentioned, at Carolina, who I had in the survivor pool and needed to win. And when I peeked in and saw it was 24-19 near the end, I about lost my stuff.
So, yeah, this game answered the question. Can you have a running back carry the ball 40 times for over 230 yards and win the game? Technically, the answer is yes, as long as he scores a touchdown.
Right.
But in this case, it was a no. Portland fed the rock to Ezekiel Love 40 times. He had a great game, but that was just a lot of runs, especially for him to not make it into the end zone. So kudos to Carolina's defense for that. I suppose they couldn't stop him from running, but they could stop him from scoring. Matt South surprisingly had more attempts than I actually thought while I was watching the game. He had 26 passing attempts, but I think most of those came at the end of the game. It was an amazing game to watch, to see Ezekiel Love run the ball the way he did, but see Carolina play that much better, score the touchdowns needed to be scored, and still win the game. I mean, it wasn't a bad plan for Portland. Running on the legs of Love wasn't a bad idea. He did well. He just never made it into the end zone. It was such an odd game to see that, because usually if a running back does that well, that team gets the win. Carolina did just the right things though to stop him from scoring, to get in the end zone themselves, and their passing game did a little bit better. Xander Gold 234 yards with 3 touchdowns and only 1 interception. He threw the ball well that game. Logan Jack, who you would think would also have a great game, 16 carries for 63 yards, 3.9 yard average. It wasn't that great, but it was just enough. It was all that was needed.
Yeah, it looks like it. I mean, I peeked in this game a couple times. 24-12 at one point, 24-19. Portland, I think I heard, or maybe I saw it, I don't remember now, but I think they did an onside kick like way too early to give Carolina a chance to really kind of put the game away and hold on to the ball in their own territory. As you look back at this game, Mike, is Portland, and I'm saying this because I just saw somebody in the chat say that they don't think San Diego's going to beat Portland because this was such a tough game. I think it was Harish that might have said it. Do you agree with that? Do you think that Portland's good enough to at least win a couple of the last 3 games, and especially that last game against San Diego?
If Portland can find their way into the end zone the way they should have this game, they'll beat San Diego. So all San Diego has to do is figure out exactly how Carolina managed to stop what was an amazing game by Ezekiel Love from him from getting into the end zone, and San Diego could come away with their first victory. But Ezekiel Love is a tough nut to crack. He's going to get it done. It's just, can he score the touchdown?
Gotcha. Well, Jack's Data had this game over under at 39.5 with 43 points scored. That was really close. Carolina was favored by 6, and you don't get much closer than that. And look at us on a 3-game winning streak, SFL Nation, 124-40. We took Carolina to go, 4-1 on Sunday, going into the nightcap, Tyler. And this game, Sioux Falls at Louisiana. I heard that the ending was a little crazy. Tell me about it.
Yeah, I'm muted. There we go.
Hey, you're muted, bro.
This game.
I haven't been able to say that for like 2 weeks. You guys are too good.
There we go. No, but this game definitely had a playoff atmosphere to it. I mean, last season they were in the playoffs and they played against each other in the playoffs. This season, the opposite end of the spectrum. Yeah. But both teams are playing for their playoff lives, and oh man, that was a fun game to call, fun game to watch, and both running backs over 100 yards. And to see Reggie Streeter go over 150 yards just in the first half alone, my goodness, that was fun to see. He was completely, he completely disappeared in the running game in the second half, but he kept it going with his legs in the passing game. Over 100 in each statistic, rushing and receiving. I think he had over 300, like close to 316 combined, total all-purpose yards. I think, I was talking with the Cam, that's, close to a record for that type of statistic. So he had a fantastic day in the loss, but it all came down to that fourth quarter, Dave. And if Sioux Falls, hadn't marched down in the 2-minute warning and kicked what would be the game-winning field goal, I think we'd see a much different story, because it was just fun to watch. Both defenses were really good. Louisiana just unable to close it out as Pickler threw an interception to close it up.
Let me ask you this: if these two teams, both 3-6, both teams we did not expect to be 3-6 at this point in the season, with 3 games remaining, and I'm one of the people that have said I don't think 6-6 is going to get you into the playoffs, but if it does, which of these teams is most likely, do you think, to go 6-6 and make it to the playoffs, and which one of these teams will be on the outside looking in?
Well, if they both win, Sioux Falls has the advantage over Louisiana now. So if they both win and 6-6 is enough to get you in, it'll be Sioux Falls. But, when I'm looking at their schedule, when I have Sioux Falls' schedule out in front of me, they've got Denver and Arizona and Las Vegas, which for them this season's going to be tough. And for Louisiana, they've got, Denver, Tulsa, Atlanta. So both teams are going to, have an uphill battle. Can they show their potential that they've known to have? They are fantastic teams. They just haven't been able to put it together this season. If you gave me the choice, Dave, I'd probably say Sioux Falls has a better opportunity.
Okay. And you know what? On that 6-6 note, I think if a team makes it at 6-6, they'll either be from the South or the Atlantic, probably. I don't think the other divisions will have a chance at this point. Jack's data had this over under at 48.5, only 36 points scored in this game. Louisiana was favored by 6, so that's disappointing for them. And SFL Nation, we actually took Louisiana 123 to only 42. Not a whole lot of confidence in that Sioux Falls team right now. And that makes us 4-2 SFL Nation on Sunday, 7-5 overall for Week 9. We are going to move into some Diva of the Week stuff. As everybody knows, I was not able to be here last Thursday. So what we did is we decided to move the Week 8 Diva of the Week winner announcement to tonight. And then right after that, we will do our Week 9 nominees. And usually the Diva of the Week winner gets to do pick'ems with us. Well, because it's not a Thursday, I've asked this person to come on and do have a Diva of the Week nominee instead. So we will have one extra Diva of the Week nominee today. So all of this being said, and I don't have a video clip for this week for the Diva of the Week, I apologize. And I don't remember who nominated this person as I look back. Let me see if I can pull it up really quick. Oh, I do know who nominated this person. The Week 8 Diva of the Week winner with 3 interceptions on her birthday, nominated by Frank the Franchise Wade last Tuesday, is none other than Ray Colston, the owner, should I say owner and GM of the Los Angeles Lycans, and she is now on the show with us. Ray, welcome to the show. How you doing? And congratulations on winning Diva of the Week, Week 8.
Dave, I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing outstanding. Congrats on your Diva of the Week win, but more importantly, 3 interceptions on your birthday. Tell me about that.
It was very exciting. I was like, oh my gosh, what is going on?
I mean, could you ask for a better birthday present?
No, because usually it's Joseph that gets all the interceptions, not me.
Well, since it was your birthday, were you able to watch the whole game live?
Yes.
Okay. Did you have a party going on at the time? Did you have a whole bunch of people over? What was the deal?
Well, with COVID, we decided just to have brunch with my family, so that's what we did before the game started. So it was fine.
Now, was your family able to watch the game with you?
No.
Oh man. Okay. Well,
Jack was, but
you're right. Of course, Jack. Okay. Well, so tell me about the game over on this. Again, this is last. Not the week we just had, but the week before. To be honest with you, I don't even remember who you played at this point. Do you remember who you played?
Atlanta.
That's right. So tell me a little bit about the game. Tell me a little bit about your interceptions, and how happy you were on your birthday to get them.
That was 2 weeks ago, Dave.
I know. Listen, I'm having the same problem. I'm struggling a little bit too. I couldn't even remember who you played. Well, do you remember the interceptions? Were they like on long passes, short passes? Did you almost?
I had one in the end zone. I had a couple in the middle of the field. I had one in the end zone, I think.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess we won't talk much about the game then. But Ray, congrats on winning Week 8 Diva of the Week. Frank the Franchise Wade sitting right there is the one who nominated you. And you're going to stick around and do Diva of the Week nominees for Week 9 with us, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Thanks, Frank.
All right. Let's move on to Diva of the Week, Week 9 nominees. And Frank, I guess we start with you again. Let's see if you can get a streak going here or something. Who's your Season 16 Week 9 Diva of the Week nominee?
Hey, we're going to make it 2 weeks in a row now. I'm going back to my old team, the Las Vegas Fury, and a man that took 7 sacks, lost the lead. He didn't lose the lead, but the Vegas lost the lead. Gets hit on a 4th and I believe 17 he hits a Mason Kirby for a first down, setting up the game-winning field goal with 20 seconds left. They call timeout with 3, kick it and put it through. But after being on his back 7 times and picked off twice and then facing a 4th and 17 with the game on the line, he throws a rope to Mason Kirby. I'm going Colin Pierce.
All right. Bo Martin Jr., who is your Season 16, Week 9 Diva of the Week nominee?
Gosh, I hate to do this to you, Frank. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right. I hate to do this to you, Frank. I had no idea you were going to pick, Colin, because now Colin's been nominated for nothing. Because here's the thing. Um, I'm going to go out to Las Vegas to that same game, right? And all I'm going to say is this. PNLT. You know what that stands for? Punters need love too. Okay? Let me tell you why. And my favorite punter in the league, and he doesn't even play for me. And I'm not trying to recruit him or anything, but hey, if it is what it is, holler at your boy. Listen, my favorite punter in the league plays for the Las Vegas Fury. His name, Dustin McCrack.
It just kills me.
What did Dustin McCrack do? Let me tell you what Dustin McCrack can do. You want to know what Dustin McCrack can do? Here's what Dustin McCrack can do. Dustin McCrack had 5 punts inside the 20. Okay. Now that's not his diva moment. His diva moment was when it came down to it, he had a punt inside the 20, right into the coffin corner that resulted in a safety. That safety gave Las Vegas 2 points, which turned out to be the winning score of the game because Atlanta mounted an amazing comeback and they fell how many points short? 2 points short. The exact amount for Dustin McCrack. Shout out to Dustin McCrack.
So people are laughing their butts off in the chat. I think you said Dustin McCrack more times than he punted inside the 20, but somebody asked about the over/under. We're gonna have to go back and count it, and I think we're gonna have to clip. That on
I
Twitch.
love Dustin McCrack.
I'm sure
It
you.
was 7. That makes 8 right there.
All right, perfect. All right, Michael, we need to move on quickly. Who's your your season 16 week 9 Diva of the Week nominee?
Yeah, sorry, Dave, I missed that. Bo, who did you pick again?
I got Dustin McCrack.
All right, sweet. So let me just quick say congrats to Rochelle on Diva of the Week. I'm going to head to our game this last week where we played her. Thank you for the win, by the way. Jack Wall is my Diva of the Week nominee. Normally, he's the slow, plodding tight end that we have on our team. This week, not only did he catch a pass, he broke 2 tackles on his way to a 52-yard touchdown, showing that he can get it done. So good on Jack. He's my Diva of the Week nominee.
Yeah, I heard he's slow at math as well, but that's just a rumor that Hunter started. All right, and by the way, I forgot to tell everybody, we do not have an extra Diva of the Week nominee. What's that say? Oh, these guys had 9 or 10 of them. 9 of them. Ray's going to take the place of Tyler, actually, but we'll get to Ray in a second. Gunny, are you around?
Yes.
Okay, Gunny, who's your season 16 week 9 Diva of the Week nominee?
Well, Dustin McCrack will be in the top 10.
Always.
Yes. Dustin McCrack will be the top 10 every week of the season. But my nominee is the replacement for Mike St. Green this past weekend, Nate Hall, for filling in.
Oh, nice. Very well. Very good. That's a good one, Gunny. See, Gunny's always thinking outside the box on these things. The rest of us are all studying film. He's like, I don't need that. I'm good. All right, Ray, now we're to you. Ray, who's going to succeed you this week as the season 16 week 9 Diva of the Week?
Well, Diva of the Week goes to Baltimore owner TJ for his 100th franchise win.
Oh, good for that. So TJ got his 100th win. That's actually great. That's cool. I didn't know that, actually. All right. Look at that. I guess Ray's thinking outside the box just like Gunny is. Look at that. All right. Well, those were all cute. Those were all nice, but they're all losers. I mean, you're all a winner in my heart, but you get it. Here's the real Diva of the Week this week, especially for me who watched so many games this week. I mean, of course, I would come up with it. So with all the time I put in watching film this weekend, I have decided, with no help from anyone else, completely solely on my own, I have come up with the Florida DBs as the Divas of the Week. Andrew Francis, Evan Carroll, Ryan Davidson, Eric Hammer. Andrew Francis had 2 interceptions. Evan had 1. Ryan had 1. And Eric had 1. They had 5 interceptions. But that's not all. The diva moment was 3 of those interceptions were passes that were sent towards Kendra Hall. And the diva moment is that these DBs ended Kendra's streak of, I think it's 4 weeks in a row with a touchdown. So they're streak killers, they're interception makers, they're ball hawkers, and they're all divas. So the Florida entire defensive backfield are the divas of the week, season 16, week 9. I'm out. Well, I'm actually still here, but I'm out. All right, so those are your divas of the week. I think we had Colin Pierce, Jack Wall, Nate Hall, TJ, the Florida DBs, and then Bo, I don't remember, who was yours again? I can't hear. You're muted, bro.
Who was mine?
Yeah.
Yes, I got Dustin McCrack.
Okay. That's a sad thing to hear, but who did you have for Diva of the Week? All right.
I got Dustin McCrack.
All right, we got to move on. All right, hey, real quick, we obviously don't have Next on Netma this week because Tyler had to do his show tonight due to company coming in town, so he will not have a show tomorrow night. So we will not have Next on Netma. I will give a quick Survivor update before we move into After Dark. We lost one more person this week, so we are now down to 6. Eddie Gage, na 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 na, hey, goodbye. Doe. Eddie Gage is out. Somebody's going to clip that too. You know that's going to come back to haunt me. So Tom Rahman, Dave Axis, Johnny Pickler still has 2 in, by the way. That's why there's only 5 names, but 6 entries still in. And then, Law, that's not what's funny. What's funny is what I just said now, bro. You got to keep up, man. I thought you were the long arm of the law. What's going on? And let's see, Jack Wall, and then Ray, who is your current Diva of the Week. And it looks like Eagle just put the Diva of the Week poll in the Access Live server. So go and vote for who you want to be the Diva of the Week, season 16, week 9 winner. Let's see. Wow, we're good on time. We're gonna be done. We're gonna be done by like 10:30. So, all right. All that being said, usually on Tuesdays we do After Dark. We talk about the playoffs. Playoffs were already released. Everybody knows about them, so we don't really need to break them down like we normally do. Instead, I want to talk about something a little personal. I just wanted to let everybody know why I was not available on Thursday night. Let me see where I put my stuff. Hold on one second. Okay. And some of you might be thinking, hey, it's your personal life, you don't need to share it, blah blah blah. But because you guys take time out of your week, twice a week to see us at the Tees, 9 p.m. Tuesdays and Thursdays every week, and because of the loyalty, that you and the commitment that you have to Access Live every week and listen to the show and support the show, I feel like I owe it to you when I can't make it here to explain to you why. So, when I was growing up, I grew up with a really close extended family. We all lived in the same area for the most part in California. I'm the oldest of all my cousins. The second oldest cousin is the cousin that I am closest to. Her name is Michelle. She's only a year younger than me. We were so close growing up that she even spent a year living with in my household and going to high school with me during her high school days. Her mother is my mother's youngest sister, and my mom practically raised her. And her name is Nancy. It's my Aunt Nancy. My Aunt Nancy had diabetes really bad, and she to the point where several weeks ago she has vascular disease as well, and then several weeks ago had to have the bottom of one of her legs amputated. And she was back in the hospital on Thursday due to complications. Actually, I forgot to put this up. Due to complications for that, and in the midst of all of that, had heart failure. They were able to keep her alive with machines. They were not able to get a hold of her husband. The second person on the do not resuscitate list is my mother, the woman who actually raised her. And so my mom had to actually be the one to give the do not resuscitate order. So we got all of that news about 4:30 in the afternoon on Thursday. So as you can all imagine, and hope that you understand, the last thing I wanted to do that night was to get on here and be like, hey, party people, and all that. It wasn't the right thing. Plus, the good thing about it was that my kids were visiting this week as well, which was great to have them here when we got the news. So it was good to have family here. I thought I was going to have to rush out to Eugene, Oregon. By the way, that's where I'm wearing Oregon green tonight for my aunt. I thought I was going to have to fly out to Eugene. Turns out that they're going to do her birthday is on the 5th of July, so 4th of July weekend. We're all going to fly out there, and we are going to spread her ashes then. So that's why I stayed in town. I didn't have to leave. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't be doing this show tonight either. So those are pictures of my aunt. You're right there. Even look at that. Even in the wheelchair, she got the cool top hat on. She was all into butterflies. Got the butterfly tattoo. Her husband there in the picture of the snow, and I think one more somewhere. Oh, in the top left by the piano. Some of those other pictures are just my uncles and my aunts and my mom and stuff with them, and my sister and what have you. But and a couple with her grandchildren. So even though she was having health issues, it was still very sudden, and it just came out of left field, out of nowhere. We didn't expect it, and then the way that it went down was just super emotional. So I just felt obligated to let you guys know what happened, why I had to cancel the show at the last minute, and that's that. So much love to my family, to my cousin Michelle, to my mom, for what they had to take care of this weekend. So all right, that being said, let's wrap this shindig up. I'm going to see you again in about 48 hours. And where we talk about, what are we talking about? Thursday. Week 10 previews, I think. Yeah, that sounds good. You guys want to do that? Let's do that. What the hell? We might even invite Dustin McCrack on. I don't know. We'll see. So we'll see you Thursday at about 48 hours. We'll break down week 10. We'll have your week 9 Diva of the Week winner. We'll have Pick'ems and Gunny's Pearls of Wisdom as always. So I will see you then. Special thanks to Frank the Franchise Wade, Bo, Dustin McCrack, Martin Jr., Mike All, Tyler Falk. Bye to the Brady Bunch circle down there. Always special thanks to Gunny. Ray, thanks for popping on, and congrats on your win. And I'll see you all in about 48 hours on Thursday night, 9 o'clock on Twitch, when I see you at the tees.